regular schmegular person from the Bronx. Right? That was totally just random. But, we don't. And we don't expect something incredible from ourselves. 9 times out of 10. I love how they made note of this. But what they really took note of was not necessarily that they were unschooled, ordinary men. They took note of what? Preparation prepares you so that you can do something extraordinary. And you can't take light of your preparation, especially our time that we get to spend with Jesus. The more time you spend learning about God, cultivating your relationship with God, it primes you to be able to do something extraordinary. These men took note of this, but they took note of this because of what happened in Mark 6. And so let's turn back to Mark 6. We're going to read through verse 6 to verse 13. It's here where it says that Jesus sent out the 12, right? Sent out the 12. Verse 6 says he was amazed at their lack of faith. Not talking about the 12, but talking about his hometown, right? Then Jesus went around teaching from village to village, calling the 12 to him. He began sending them out 2 by 2, and he gave them authority over impure spirits. These were his instructions. Take nothing for the journey except the staff. No bread, no bag, no money in your belts. Wear sandals, but not an extra shirt. Whatever you enter a house, stay there until you leave that town. And if any place will not welcome you or listen to you, leave that place and shake the dust off your feet as a testimony against it. They went out, they preached that people should repent, and they drove out many demons and anointed many sick people and healed with oil and healed them. Now, a couple things I want us to kind of pull from this scripture. Just a couple things, and then we'll end the sermon. Let's look at this. Did you notice in this, everyone had a job to do? Like everyone, all 12 of the disciples had a job to do. Jesus has a mission for every Christian. This is something that, I really try to pour in the hearts of the campus students. I really try to pour in the hearts of our church. Like, mission is not optional. It's a requirement. It's part of discipleship. It's part of being a Christian. And I was like, we got to have a proper understanding of mission and really being evangelistic. Because I think sometimes we can have want you to go out and hand out flyers and shake people to follow Jesus. That's not necessarily how it works, right? I'm not, do that. Hey, I'm not shooting it down. But I was like, I think that there's a way to go about this that's very powerful. But we first have to catch this. God called us all to be on mission. All of us, everyone, was called to be on mission. Now, while it's true, some are teachers, some are pastors, some have different roles. Some of us are supporters, some of us are encouragers. Some of us have different abilities that God has gifted us with. But it's all to bring him glory and to help people to see him clearly here on earth. All of it. And so it's funny. I don't know. You all know about the story about the Titanic, right? Yeah. Big ship, hit an iceberg, sank, right? Summary. There's a 4-hour movie that you can watch about it. It's more detailed. But with that, what a lot of people don't know is that there were 3 other ships in the area. There were 3 other ships in the area. One that was really close was actually called the Samson, right? This ship was like not far at all from them. But this ship was involved with illegal hunting. So they were like, man, if we go and we help them out, we're going to get found out about what we're doing. So they didn't go. They didn't go help out. Another ship, I think it was the Californian, that was close, but they heard that they'd hit an iceberg. And so they didn't go because they're like, there's icebergs in the area. And they're like, okay, if we go, we might hit an iceberg. And if we hit an iceberg, then it's the same thing. So they spent most of their time trying to decide whether to go or not. To the point that they ended up not moving at all. And then there's obviously the one that was the furthest out, the 3rd ship, that actually was like we need to go. And they were the furthest one out, and they eventually went, and they saved about 700 people because they went and they engaged it. But they didn't think about all the other stuff. And it's funny when you think about that story about these 3 different ships here. You know, this is in there. This is a big part of history with that. You think about these 3 different ships. It makes us think about us and evangelism a lot, because I think we could be like these 3 boats sometimes. One, it's hard for us to think about mission and helping other people to get to know God, because we're caught up in what? Caught up in our own sin. It's like the first ship. They're involved with illegal hunting. They're like, man, we go out there, so we're going to find out that what we're doing, so I'm not doing it. Right? Sometimes we can't go out and be a light to anyone else because we're not even letting the light shine on ourselves. Right. We're bogged down by our own sin. We're bogged down by our own immorality. We're bogged down by our own selfishness and self-unrighteousness. Like, we're bogged down by all of that. So we can't, because we don't deal with that, we can't help anyone else. And we're incapacitated to be of service for God and his mission. Some of us could be like the second ship, right? The second ship, they didn't go because what? Self-preservation. They were afraid. Man, there's icebergs out there. You see, the Titanic was not supposed to sink. And it sank. What about us? Right? Sometimes it's hard for us to go share our faith and be out there to other people because we're afraid of what? I don't want to get hurt. I don't want them to say no, because that's the worst thing anyone can say to me. Right? I don't want to be rejected. I don't want to deal with that. So we don't do anything. We don't go out. We don't even share. And again, you know, we've talked about this before, and I don't want to bring this up. And you know, when I talk about evangelism, again, I think it's so multifaceted. Right. There's so many different ways that you can be a light to this world. So many different ways. I mean, we all have friends, and we're all Christians, and we could easily say, man, you're going to friends talk to people, confide in you, they share with you. You could easily say, you know what? Let's pray. I believe in prayer. Do you mind if I pray with you? That in of itself is a door-opening opportunity to be a light to someone. You know what I mean? Like, because it's about being true to who you are and embodying all of you. But we, in self-preservation, fear of our own sin, we hold back and we don't go there. And those are big things. But we got to be able to be like the third ship, where we're like, you know what? I'm prioritizing what God called me to do, regardless what happens. I'm going to go out there. I'm going to share. I'm going to talk to somebody. I'm going to step out of the boat and save somebody. Because, you know, it's funny, we were talking with the students, and we were kind of like, at the end of the year, Kate was like going crazy during finals. Like, we need to share with people. We got to plan this out. And they're like, dude, you know, someone was like, it's final exams, Kate. You got exams. You know, and this is like a big thing on his heart. And, you know, part of it was like, you know, I appreciate that. That's encouraging. But you got to go study. You know, that's encouraging, though. It's an encouraging heart to have. Like, man, the year's about to end. There's still people we can help. There's still people we can help. There's still more we could do. Do we have that heart at our jobs, with our friends? Do we value the fact that time is slipping away? Time is short. You don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. Even though you might have your day planned out. Things could change in an instant. You know, I've learned that very well with my family, dealing with, you know, we were planning to go visit my sister this summer. She just had the birth of her child about 4 weeks ago. And things could change like this. Like this. And now, rather than going to plan and to celebrate and get to know this, you know, my nephew, now we're talking about burial arrangements. That wasn't part of the plan. We weren't thinking that this is it. And again, this is how we forget that life could change so fast. Everything. The fact that you're here right now is a blessing. The fact that you're with people right now is a blessing. The fact that you have words of encouragement you could share with them is a blessing. Are you doing it? Are you doing it? You know, verse 7, it says that Jesus called the 12 to him and began sending them out 2 by 2, and he gave them authority over impure spirits, right? This is big because they were young Christians, right? They'd only been with Jesus for a short amount of time. And Jesus is like, all right, let's go. 2 by 2, we're going out here. You ever think about the reason why he decided to send them out in pairs? Anybody? Hey, thought, why pairs? He gave them authority to deal with impure spirits. Why did he send them with people?
They still need each other, can rely on one another.
Okay, yeah, they need each other, rely on one another. Anyone else? Like, just what? Why? Why pairs? Why not solo?
Extra set of eyes. I think that you have a witness with you. That if anybody questions anything that's happening, you have someone else to
Okay.
or to back you.
Extra set of eyes, encouragement, right? Support, right? These things are these are big things. Anyone ever see geese fly? South Carolina, right? Y'all seen them? They do this like this V thing that they do, right? They fly in this V shape. Anyone ever ask like why do they fly in this V shape? Okay, it's just me. I think I am. I thought they just like V's, you know what I mean? It's just a cool, you know. I was like, maybe there's some spiritual significance with the V. I remember like I was praying one day and I was like, I looked up in the sky and I saw this V shape of geese fly. I was like, is that the sign, guy? Like, is it? So I looked up, right? Looked up like this whole V thing. I really thought it was something. I really did, right? So I looked it up. And I saw this YouTube video. So I was like, oh, okay. I'm watching this guy was explaining why geese fly in this V shape. And it's actually really interesting. Like why they fly. It was not an answer to what I was looking for. But what they say is that it helps geese fly about 71% further than they could alone, flying in this V shape. Right? Now I'm sure, you know, Justice could probably explain the aerodynamic reasoning behind this a lot better than I can, right? But I'm gonna give it a little attempt. The guy that worked for NASA, right? You know, maybe I can do a little something with that. But you know, with them flying in this V shape, again, it helps them to fly about 71% further because guess what? The drift, right? The drift effect, the air that they're pushing forward with is kind of getting split in half because it's like a little what? A little arrow, right? Piercing through. But guess what happens to the geese that falls out of formation? No, it does not die. No. That's not what happens. Jeez. No, he ends up in Jersey for the rest of his life, and that's it. You know, stuck here in Mercer County. No. He's not that. What happens is they got a short window to try to get back in there because they can't keep up. At that point, they're fighting the current by themselves. They have no support. That V shape is very intentional because it makes flying easier for them. And once they fall out, they can literally get left behind within, they say, about 30, 45 seconds. So they have like a small gap to get back in formation, you know. And this is unique because I think sometimes, again, we were talking with the men about how we don't value each other. And I'm like, we got to work hard to make sure we value each other. God sent them out 2 by 2 because he's like, you need support. You got to work together. You can accomplish more together than you can by yourself. Matter of fact, Jesus made a huge declaration, right? When he said that you will do what? Greater things than who? Than him. Was he talking about the 12?
No.
He was talking about who? He's talking about himself. You're going to do greater things than me. None of us will believe that, right? Wait, no, you're supposed to say, no, parents, we do believe that. Y'all Christians. You're supposed to believe he said it. You know? You're going to do greater things than me. Because you got each other. You got my spirit. You're going to be able to just move this in a way that I couldn't. That's crazy to think. Jesus, Son of God. And he says you're going to do greater things because of what's in you and who's with you. We got to be able to see that. You know, and then he talks about how he gave them, authority. And he gave them authority over unclean spirits. And sometimes I think we do forget, we've been talking about this a lot, that we are in a spiritual battle. We're all dealing with spiritual things that are trying to discourage us and steal away our focus. And we have to get back to focusing on the fact that there are impure spirits. This is a spiritual battle that we're dealing with, which means we have to fight some of this stuff with what? Spiritual weapons. We have to. And it's really unique here because he says this. And I think sometimes people say, well, he gave them authority over impure spirits, but that was just for the 12. Again, the 12 are the apostle, and they had something special that we don't have. That's not necessarily true. Because you could go to Luke 10, where it talks about he sent out the 72, right? And he says pretty much the same thing with the 72, right? Verse 17 says, the 72 returned with joy and said, Lord, even the demons submit to us in your name. And he replied, I saw Satan fall like lightning from heaven. I have given you authority to trample on snakes, scorpions. Scorpions are very terrifying. I live in Arizona. And to overcome all the power of the enemy. Nothing will harm you. However, do not rejoice that the spirits submit to you, but rejoice that your names are written where? In heaven. Don't gas yourself because you're able to do some miraculous things. Be grateful that you're going to be with me for eternity. But that doesn't negate the fact that God has given us the ability to do some incredible things. To do something incredible. I think of it like when you think about this authority that's been given to us, it's similar to like a policeman, right? A police officer is given authority to stop crime, right? And to stop bad things from happening, right? So they go, they stop bad things from happening. But if that police officer resigns from the force, do they have authority any longer? Can they just roll up on me and be like, hey, you're speeding? No, you're not a police officer. You don't have authority, right? You don't have that. But because of the institution that they're a part of, has given them a level of authority to protect people, to serve people. Because of Jesus, because of God, we have been given this authority to help people, to save people. Do you leverage that authority? Do you walk in that authority? Do you have confidence in that? Jesus speaks as a man of authority, saying he has given us authority to make a difference in this world. Are you doing that? Actively, consciously, asking yourself on a daily basis, am I exercising the authority that God has given me to help bring order to this world? To help other people to make a decision to love God? To help myself when I'm questioning God, when I'm doubting God, when I'm doubting my ability to serve God? Am I utilizing these things to put myself back in check? To give God my all? Do you pray with authority? Do you share with authority? Do you understand who you're talking to? This is big, and I think sometimes we got to work better on this because I think we're too timid as Christians. And there's so many times when Jesus says, I've given you authority to do this, to do that, and we struggle. Yeah. We struggle. We're just saying the right stuff and doing stuff, and so how do we share with authority? There's a couple things I'll share with you with this. Like, how do we share with authority? How do we exercise some of this authority? First thing I'll say, speak on what you know, not on what you think you should know. And I think this is what makes us super insecure a lot of times. Because we try to talk about things you don't really know. Yeah. You don't own the fact that your personal experience with Christ is enough. It's enough. The stuff that you've lived and you've experienced, honestly, is more than enough to help somebody else. You don't got to be a theologian with all the answers for people. You don't need that. Like I told you guys, miracles and wise words don't save people.
Right.
Right? We just saw that. They still look at Jesus with contempt. Even though they acknowledge his wise words and miracles. That ain't gonna help you. But your experience is more than enough. Your story is more than enough. You're living this. Talk about it.
Yeah.
You're going through it. Talk about it. You struggle just like everyone else. What do you do when you struggle? Other people try to find a boyfriend or girlfriend. They try to find, pleasure in other areas. You go to God in prayer. Help, let me know. That might help me a little bit more.
Right.
You could say that. That's a good thing to say.
Right.
But someone's like, oh, but that's not that big. I need something like. Right? It's not that important. Your experience is more than enough. Value that. Value your relationship with God. And remember who sent you. You've been given authority by God. He sent you. Don't let your familiarity with God and his church take away from the power of God and his church.
Yeah.
Don't let that happen. I want to wrap with this and just kind of examining this area here. The disciples were given instructions to follow. They were given instructions to follow, right? And some of it could have been like, look, if you read it, it's like kind of weird, right? Take extra pair of sandals, but only take one shirt. Like, what? What does that mean? I don't get that, Go to people's house, they'll let you in, knock the dust off your foot, like, what? Literally? You want me to, what does that mean, right? And this is deep, because I think Jesus was trying to teach a valuable lesson. It was funny, we were in a Bible study with a guy yesterday, and he made this comment, and I thought it was really funny. He was like, we challenged him to read through the Gospel of Mark. And I was like, so what's your thoughts? Again, not religious at all. No, none of that. So he's reading through Mark. He's like, yeah, Jesus is a very quirky guy. Like he just says random things and does like random miracles like whenever. It's just very, and I kind of laughed. Like I was like, that's really funny perspective. But it's from someone who hasn't religion, like he didn't get caught up in over like mysticizing everything. It was just like, I'm reading through Mark, it's just like an event. It's just random things happening. He speaks in parables, he doesn't really explain himself. Like, what is that? And I'm like, yeah, you're right, he does. It's true. He does do that. But even this situation could very much look that way. Like, what are you doing? Like, why would you do that? But then when you think deeper, what he was trying to prepare the disciples for, it was really big because the urgency of their mission required that they travel light. The urgency of their mission required that they travel light. No suitcases. I don't need you to focus on that. No luggage. Leave that stuff at home. He didn't want them to be weighed down by suitcases and possessions. And when we think about it, maintaining and acquiring stuff can distract us from the mission. Right? Maintaining and acquiring more stuff distracts us from what God called us to do. Like if we're honest, I think for a large majority of it, I think that's the problem with a lot of us. We spend a lot of time trying to maintain and acquire things, right? And that time is not time spent on thinking about the mission that God called us to be on. So we have a lot of nice stuff. We have a lot of nice things. Or we're in the process of getting it, right? And we're devoting a lot of our time and attention on that. We don't travel light. We don't travel light at all. We got a caravan. We on mission though with Jesus, but I need to get this I got a couple trucks with me. You know what I mean? But we on the path. But you're going so slow. You're moving so slow and you're distracted. Notice when they were also to depend on God to provide food and shelter, which is really unique, right? Like they literally had to depend on God for everything. And it's so funny when we're caught up in maintaining and acquiring more stuff, we're not depending on God. And again, then we take everything we have for granted. Because like I said before, we start to say, well, I got all this stuff because of my might and my wisdom and my intellect. And it's not like, well, thank you, God, for blessing me with the mind that you gave me to be able to do this. God bless me with the opportunity to have this home. God bless me with this. So how can I leverage this for his glory? How can I leverage all of this to bring him glory? It's more like, well, I got it, now I got to keep it up. And when you put all that weight on you, you don't have time to think about God's mission. Because you got a lot of work to maintain this stuff that you could lose, like we talked about earlier, like that. Thanos snap, right? You know, it's funny when that concept when he said if they don't accept you, he told them, what did he tell them to do? Right, dust it off, right? Dirt off your shoulders type thing. And so he tell them to do that. Does anyone know about like the concept of why that's significant? It's a little snobbiness in this, right? You got again, we've talked about this before when the Jews, the conflict between the Jews and Samaritans, right? You guys remember that? The conflict between them and how the Jews didn't really accept the Samaritans because they were what? Half, right? They were like half Jewish, half Gentile, so you're not really Jew. They kind of looked down on them. A lot of racial discrimination that was going on, right, in their time. Huge, and it was a really bad thing. Well, it was funny, whenever a Jew would leave Samaria, or leave the town where the Samaritans were at, what he would do, consistently, take his sandal off, literally, and dust the dirt off, because he didn't want to take that dirt into Jerusalem. Like it was like they were literally being disrespectful. Like, but it was pretty much saying, I'm not carrying this in here. I'm leaving it right here. And what Jesus was saying, when you leave a home that doesn't accept your message and doesn't leave you, he's like, leave that negativity right there. Don't carry it with you. Because see, a lot of us have stopped sharing and stopped giving of ourselves and giving to God's mission because you're carrying the weight of negativity from past rejections, from past experiences. You're carrying that weight. And so rather than thinking and being positive, this is a new experience, new place, new people, new opportunity, you're thinking, oh, no, I remember what happened. Nah, man, these people, I heard, they're not going to really want to accept it. They're going to view, I know how they think about Christians. So, ergo, they're going to look at me that way too. So let me just keep this on the low. Right? We don't leave that dirt there. We carry it with us. And some of us need to start, we got to dust off our shoes. Because you ain't doing nothing. So you're going to dust your shoes off. Because God needs you to move forward. There's so much more to be done. There's so much more opportunities you have to help people to get to know Him. We are all called to be on mission. Again, a lot of people are saying, well, that's for the apostles. He said the same thing to the 72, and then he said the same thing to everybody in Matthew 28. I've given, all authority has been given to me. He says, therefore, what? Go. Go. And I think a lot of us are not moving forward in that mission because you're dirty. Well, you're not dirty, but you still got dirt on your shoes. You still got dust on your shoulders. You need to dust yourself off and get moving. I'm grateful for what we have here at Mercer. This is a small church. Again, we started off when me and Z came here, 25 disciples. We're now up to the 45, 49 mark, you know what I mean? And we start off with one sole campus student, Miss Renee, and God's blessing us with more campus students. God is He's working. He is working. But again, it's not, wow, look at God's working, chill. This should be, God's working, let me run with confidence with this. Look at what He's doing. Let's go. Let me talk, let me reach out. God is moving. Not God's moving, let me sit back and watch the show. God is moving, let me be a part of it. Let me engage this. Yeah, it's a bit unorthodox. Some of the stuff isn't how I traditionally might have liked it to happen or would have viewed it happening. But nevertheless, God is working. And God loves to do that because he loves to take the things that we might deem as what? Ordinary, and do what with it? Something extraordinary. Let's be a part of something extraordinary. Amen. Thank you guys.